Welcome back. You're watching bnsn on ET Now show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. Remember, viewers, you can connect to us on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screen. Do remember, each time you write to us, mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in, mention that name as well as the buy price, the quantity, and the time horizon in case you've already purchased the stock. Because in that way, our experts will be able to help you better. And on our expert front today for technicals, we have Kunal Bothra. While on the fundamentals, Gaurang Shah is joining us on the show. Very good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Gaurang. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now. And let me kickstart taking the stock-related queries then. And this one is coming in from Sudha. And Sudha has a portfolio of 15 stocks. She wants to know about 4 stocks which should be bought further. She wants to know about Swiggy's Mazgon Dog, Chambal Fertilizers, CG Power, minimum for 3 years. What's your take, Gaurang? She's listed out a couple of stocks that she's looking to add to her portfolio. Do you think these names are right ones fundamentally to add in her 15 stock portfolio?
Thank you very much, Cheryl, and morning to all of you all. So, out of the list that she has suggested, on Swiggy, we had an IPO note with a subscription recommendation from a long-term point of view. But if I have to, and of course on Zomato and CG Power, we don't currently have a recommendation, so I won't be in a position to comment on that. But if I have to recommend an alternative investment idea, then instead of Swiggy, I would recommend Zomato. And the other 2 recommendations would be Tata Power and Indian Hotels. I think this would be a nice switch from a long-term point of view.
All right, those are the top bets coming in from Gaurang. But moving on to the next query, and this one is coming in on Tata Motors. And Kunal, let me take it from you. Nikhil is already holding 20 shares, but his buy price is way high at close to 1,000 rupees. What to do in this one? Good to book out the loss right here or continue to hold on?
No, so I think the recent correction has been very sharp for Tata Motors. The stock has fallen from, I think, around 1150, 1170 plus mark towards, the 700, 750 levels, which it tested just some time back. So after this sharp correction, and historically we've seen such phases of sharp correction for Tata Motors, there are 2 things which happens. First is that the stock goes into a time-wise correction, and that could last for, maybe a quarter or a couple of quarters for the stock price, which means we could be looking at say 800 as a pivot range for Tata Motors, and the stock can fluctuate to 750 to 850 or 900 kind of a range for itself. It all depends now on whether the auto stocks as an overall pack they make a comeback or not for Tata Motors, because that could really determine how soon could be the recovery for the stock. But it's not as if that the stock quality is extremely bad that you should be looking to sell the stock. Because this is a natural process which happens for every stock, and especially if you have large cap names, I think it merits that you hold on to this stock. So I would probably suggest that hold on to Tata Motors at current levels. In case over the next 2 or 3 months the stock is available back again at the 700, 750 range, look to add further.
All right, the next query is coming in from OSN Reddy. He's writing to us from Hyderabad. Kunal, coming right back to you. Nestle is the counter, 33 shares at a price of 2,448 rupees per share. Should he continue to stay put with Nestle or look to exit this one? Because, FMCG pack, the earnings were not that enthusing at all. The counters have been seeing a lot of correction. 12% correction coming in for Nestle in the last 3 months compared to the FMCG sector that saw a 9% correction. What's your take right now? What should he do?
Well, I would believe that if you're a short-term investor, then maybe I think you could probably get a point where the stock may come back towards 2300, 2280 kind of a levels. That could be a good point where you may look to exit, the stock, because again, as I said, that the stock after a sharp correction should go into a time-wise consolidation over here. So I'm expecting that for the next 1 to 2 months, it might be possible that many of these stocks could drag, at least in terms of time-wise or a price-wise range for itself. So it depends on a time frame. If you're a short-term investor, then I think maybe closer to 2300 is where you can book out. But if you're a long-term investor, then I think any dips from here on, say a 5% dip or a 7% dip for the stock, should be a very good buying opportunity for you if you're a long-term investor.
All right, that's the day coming in on Nestle, but the whole FMCG pack is seen to be under pressure for today. But Gaurang, shifting gears to Engineers India now, and Amit from UAE has been holding over 500 shares at current market price, which is now close to around 200 rupees. how do you see this counter, Gaurang? As far as I remember, you have been quite constructive and bullish on this particular company. But overall, in the next 2 years, specifically, that's the target for Amit. How do you see the stock price moving and the fundamental developments happening?
Hi, Shashti. Morning. Thank you. You are absolutely right. We have been constructively positive on Engineers India. And there is a decent time frame that the investor wants to give. That is about 2 years. I think the biggest theme for companies like Engineers India would be the very strong rollout of green hydrogen that the government has spoken about. This company specializes in creating the back-end infrastructure to enable green hydrogen production. Uh, Earnings have been good enough in line with what our estimates were, and I think the order book that the company has got, they have got strong experience and capability to execute that on the ground level. And I think within 2 years, you will have quite a bit of ground covered in terms of rollout and production of green hydrogen. I would recommend a hold, and as a disclosure, we have a positive coverage on Engineers India.
All right, this one is coming from Venu, who's writing to us from Chennai, senior citizen. He's saying three fundamentally strong companies that he's purchased into: HUL, Deepak Nitrite, and Escorts. He bought at the peak prices 3 months ago because from there on the stocks have corrected by a huge fall of about approximately 25% or so. Is it better to book loss or deploy cash into other sectors? And technically, is it possible for them to cross the peak prices in the next 3 months? Kunal, over to you, because though he's saying fundamentally strong companies, but all of them have seen really sharp corrections from the peak.
Can you rename the stocks?
HUL, Deepak Nitrite, and Escorts Kubota.
See, I believe all three of these stocks are quite strong and classical in terms of the price trends. Now, again, as I said, if you're a long-term investor, then I strongly believe that you should be holding on to all three of these names, Escorts, HUL, etc. I think these stocks have done reasonably well over the last decade and more, to try and prove that these stocks can withstand the worst part of the market corrections and still give you positive returns. There could be phases where these stocks go into a correction. The only catch over here is that Deepak Nitrite is the only stock which is a lot more high beta, and because the specialty chemical space has not done pretty well, we may expect that the stock may drag or consolidate for a bit of a more prolonged time. But I think Escorts, HUL, they are classical stocks, and as I mentioned earlier for the FMCG pack, that in case if you get these stocks by a margin of 5% to 7% for the correction, I think you should look to start adding into these names. So hold is what I would recommend for all three of these stocks.
All right, that's a hold coming in on all the three names by Kunal. But with this, viewers, it's now time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. As we come right back, we will take more of your stock-related queries. Welcome back to Buy Now Sell Now, and let's keep it going with all your stock related queries. Then we do have our experts Kunal as well as Gaurang with us, and the next query that I have is coming in from RK Ahuja. And Kunal, let me take it from you. This query is on CG Power. Just a while back we did had Gaurang's take on this one, but specifically talking about the levels, he wants to know, would you still recommend a buy on this particular stock, and if yes, then any entry price you can help him with?
See, of course, it would be a tricky one because the stock has seen almost like a consistent and unstoppable trend over the last 3 or 4 years, from 2020 low specifically, when the stock was almost single digits, towards a point when the stock is above the 800 levels. Now, the only bit of pattern which I can sense for CG Power is that the stock in the last 5 months has not made a fresh or has not broken the previous month's swing lows. So even though the uptrend has continued, the stock price is maintaining this price trend of trying to protect its previous swing lows, and then keep on making new highs for itself. So in case if this happens again for CG Power, you may expect the stock to cross levels of 875 and then potentially make a new high for itself. So what you can do is you can initiate a fresh long for CG Power, but keep this month's low as a trailing stop loss that is closer to 680.81 for the stock on the spot levels, and 880 could be a near-term target for the stock.
All right, coming to you, Gaurang, this one is from Abhimanyu on Piramal Pharma. He has about 1,230 shares which he purchased at levels of 154. He wants to know whether he should stay put with this one, look to exit. He is making a healthy set of profits, and if you believe that he should book out profits, then which is another pharma company that he should look at?
So, Cheryl, first of all, a small clarification from my side. On CG Power, the question that you'd asked me earlier, well, we do have a coverage. Apologies, I had overlooked it. So, we do have fundamental coverage from a long-term point of view. On Piramal Pharma, well, again, here we don't have a coverage, so I won't be able to give you specifics. But I think I was listening to the management's interview about a fortnight back, and the kind of performance that the company has given has been a strong performer in terms of earnings visibility. And in the last maybe about a year or so, if you see the journey of the stock from the levels where it was, I think somewhere close to about 100, 150 to about 260, it's only because of the strong earnings capability and capacity, and of course, the kind of launches that they have lined up. Unfortunately, since we don't have a coverage, I won't be able to give you a specific answer in terms of buy sell hold.
Any views on Piramal Pharma? 154 is the buy price, 260 is the current market price. Do you think he should stay put?
Well, I think it should be a good time where you can look to start trimming out some profits at least for Piramal Pharma. Of course, the stock has done exceptionally well. I remember tracking the stock sub 100 levels, and recent high was I think around 300 or 305 odd mark for Piramal Pharma. The stock has come down to 260 to 65 range. Good time to book out profits over here for the stock if you're a long-term investor. And I think maybe closer to 230, 225 could be a re-entry range for Piramal Pharma.
All right, that's the take coming in on Piramal Pharma. But moving on then, and Gaurang, the next query is coming in from Akshay from Bangalore, and he is saying that he's a big fan of yours, but now needs help where he is looking out for one stock from the data center space for an investment in the long term. So, Gaurang, any stock that you like from this particular space?
Thanks for those kind words. No specific coverage as far as the sector that he is looking out for. But we've been extremely positive on the entire IT pack. And if I had to identify one small cap name from a long-term point of view, not specifically the sector that he is looking at, but I think maybe a KPIT Technologies or a Science Limited. I think both these would qualify a great investment idea from a long-term point of view.
All right, let me take this next query then, and this next query that I have, oops, I think I have missed the chat window for that. Okay, the next query is coming in from Rajeshwari from Chennai, wants to know about Amber Enterprises 10 shares at a price of 5,952 rupees per share. Holding for the short term, about 6 months or so maximum, Kunal. Any target to keep in mind?
See, I think the stock has come back towards a good support point, 50 DMA. I think that's the level the stock has tested today. Now, the concern for Amber Enterprise are two. One is that there was a phase, I think, in the month of October, mid-October, where the volumes had shot up significantly high for Amber. The stock had moved from 5,000 levels to almost 6,500, 600 levels in a matter of just about, I think, 3, 4, 5 trading sessions. But post that, it's almost been like a 1 month of consolidation. And the volumes have dropped down, which means that the mean reversion is completing for Amber Enterprises. There could be a residual correction of another 200 points for the stock. So maybe 5,600, 5,500 could be a level which the stock may test. That could be an extreme point for the stock. In case if it happens, I would suggest that you could look to even average further for the stock. My targets for Amber Enterprise, say over the next 6 months, once this mean retracement is over, I think should be above 6,600 plus levels for Amber Enterprises.
All right, that's the day coming in on Amber Enterprise. But Kunal, I'm once again coming to you because this is a general query coming in from Vijay, and he's just highlighting that he has invested in multiple stocks. And given the market volatility and the recent correction that we have seen, a lot of his counters in the portfolio have now drifted in the red. They are negative, but still holding on to the positive. So overall, if you can give a view on the markets, because is Nifty 50 yet to bottom out? He's concerned that should he just go ahead and exit his in the holdings that he has. So what's your take on the markets right now?
See, I think it's a good question, but the answer for that really depends on the mix of stocks which you have as part of your core portfolio. For example, I think if you are focusing more on the mid cap names in the small cap end of the stocks, then of course there could be a point of concern, because many of the mid caps and small caps, they would eventually take a lot of time to recover. You look at it this way also, that in this last 1,000 point, 1,500 points recovery for the Nifty, it's been led by dominant large cap names, and these large cap stocks are not something which you've been usually accustomed towards a breakout or leadership qualities, the likes of HDFC Bank, L&T, etc. So which means that the leadership is changing for the markets, and this new rally or a bounce back which has happened is leading into new fresh names of stocks which are heading towards a breakout. So it depends on the kind of stocks which you have as a part of your portfolio. If it's more inclined towards large cap names, you should definitely stay put into these large cap stocks and continue to stay invested.
Right. Let's continue taking your stock related queries. We have Kunal and Gaurang who are waiting by pretty patiently to answer all of your stock related queries then. And this one is coming in from Reshma Bhatia. This one is for you, Gaurang. Wants to know about Vedanta. A short while ago, you also had Vedanta management speak at the Rising Rajasthan Summit. But she wants to know about Vedanta. She has 1,500 shares in good profit. She's saying, does it make sense to wait for the demerger process to work, or the plan that Vedanta has on demerger of businesses? Should she wait for that to actually culminate, or there be some sort of a development on that particular front, or should she just book profits out of this?
Well, Cheryl, when you invest into stock market, you're investing because you want to make X plus something in terms of profits, the capital that you invest and the profit that you want to make. And according to me, I think you should always have a percentage target in terms of how much you want to earn. 15-20% on the conservative side is definitely given if you are a long-term investor. And if you happen to invest in very strong, fundamentally growth-oriented stocks, then you can get much more than that. Now, again, to answer this question, as a disclosure, we do have a positive coverage on Vedanta, and we believe now it's a diversified conglomerate from a long-term point of view. It's got natural resources in different categories under its belt. The demerger, according to us, will unlock value, but the positivities to play out will take some time. So if you are invested from a long-term point of view in Vedanta, then you should definitely hold on. But at the same time, if you think that you made a decent return on your investments, there is absolutely no harm in booking part profits as well. But again, that depends upon you. What is the risk appetite, what is the time horizon, and what kind of return you want to make from your investment.
All right, that's the take coming in on Vedanta. But Padma Rao also had a similar query on Vedanta, so I hope that answered the query from both of our viewers. But moving on to the next query then, and this query is coming in on IGL. Kunal, if you can help N. Ramesh on this one. He's a senior citizen holding 100 shares, buy price is 538 rupees. He wants to know that maybe in the next couple of years, how do you see the stock price moving?
If there's one set of stocks which is very tough to assess on technical analysis, it's IGL, MGL and Gujarat Gas. Because I've seen this stock over the last many years that they've given signs of a breakout, but then immediately post a breakout, there is some sort of negative news flow even surrounding the stock and they fall very sharply. So I think very difficult to comprehend.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We'll come back to you, get your analysis on the city gas distribution companies. But
if you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.